Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela, everybody. Let's see who's in. Okay, we have Janice Windsor's number one, Neko Saku 50. I'm pretty sure that's you because you commented in the comments. Otherwise, I would not be able to read Japanese, but I'm pretty sure you're the same one that ends at 50. Welcome, welcome. Crunchy Bee, Angels Don't Fall, Shari D, myself, Lindsay Hiccups. I don't think I remember you. Welcome, Petite Penguin, Mandela 108, Shari D, of course, Stahl Hansen. I've confused everybody by showing up on time today instead of 5 minutes late. Let's see. Okay, so now that Neko Saku 50 is in, I wanted to point out some of her comments. So this is my comments under the last week's show, and Susan Ravella was mentioning Neko Saku 50's bunch of Mandelas. So I was looking through those. Now a few of them we covered before, like Woody's cow pattern vest in Toy Story. Noticed a change in the pattern. So, like, I had it on before that. I remembered it being like a brown vest, actually. And it's like an older Mandela for me. I wouldn't be surprised if it keeps changing, but there was a lot of mixed opinions on that. But a number of people did remember a brown vest for Woody's vest when I covered it. George Washington's face changed direction. I'm going to cover that one in more detail because I do think there's been a recent change in George Washington. I agree with that one. Now, a lot of these are more Japan-centered. The Great Buddha in Nara, Japan is now squinting. Okay, so I kind of had looked through your website, and so I didn't really know that Buddha, but apparently you remember it with the eyes closed, which is interesting because I've not really heard of a Buddha with the eyes closed, but apparently now it's squinting, so the eyes are a little open. It's kind of creepy when you think about it because it's like some kind of weird manga story or something where the statue's eyes slowly open mystically. So it's kind of weird. Okay. So anyway, anybody can look that one up. The Great Buddha in Nara, Japan, now has like the eyes are open a little bit before she remembers them as closed. Jesus was a mason instead of a carpenter. We've covered that on another day. The Converse All-Star shoe markings are different. I believe when I was looking through your channel that you remember the logo on a different spot on the shoe than where it is now. And I think, if I recall correctly, that's like a really old Mandela for me that I did not know Converse shoes very well, but I remember other people covering that where they remembered it on the outside instead of the inside, I believe was how it was last time, if that's still the Mandela now. Okay, infrared and radio guided bullets were used in the war. I'm assuming you mean World War II. Yeah, I've never heard of that. Infrared and radio guided bullets. Actually, I should probably look this up. I was just looking through your stuff earlier. Radio controlled bullets in World War II. Unmanned systems of World War I and II, and motors, rotary switches, gyroscopes, and servos. That one might take some, the remote-controlled Abrams tank? Oh, no, that might be new. All right, that one might take some digging. But yeah, I don't remember any of that happening. Automatic absorption bullets. I don't remember anything from that. Post-war, Japan was not monopolized U.S. territory, but was also co-occupied by British Commonwealth occupation forces. Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember only America being in control of Japan. I don't remember Brits being there at all. I swear Britain is just, as the shifts go on, they've just got their fingers in like more and more and more pies, as the American saying goes. And this is very Japan-centric one. The largest sand dune in Japan is now Sarugamori Dunes in Aomori Prefecture instead of Totori sand dunes. So that one you'd really kind of have to be very well versed in Japan to know. All right, so then the same person up here. So that one was kind of like copied on by Susan Ravella. But then Nekosaku 50 up here also mentions a few more. Alaska size and shape are strange. Yes, we've covered that one a lot. Lungs are divided into upper lobe, middle lobe, and lower lobe. Yeah, there's 2 lobes on one side and 3 lobes on the other. That one's a really old Mandela for me, like going back 4 or 5 years. And if you look at some of my earliest videos, it's on there. Bananas growing upside down. Yes, popular Mandela. Position of God in the creation of Adam should be diagonally and above. Yes, very much so. You remember it like I do then, because a lot of people remember it further away, but I also remember God being, for you, would be further up. And so what happened for me is that first God came down and then came in. So there was like a 2-part Mandela for me. But a lot of people only remember that last part. Great Buddha Nara. The right hand of Dr. Clark's statue is not pointing. I don't, I'll show you Dr. Clark's statue, but I don't know. I don't know that statue, so I couldn't say. Okay, so, I assume it's this one. So now it looks like it's just like fingers out instead of like this. Kind of weird. I assume that's the one. I really don't know anything about Dr. Clark's statue. So that might be kind of more of a Japan thing. Anyways, I don't know if that's the right one, but whoop, here we go. Profession of Jesus is now Mason, more Mason and less Carpenter. The star mark of Converse, all stars. Okay, so some of those repeats, but so this is the website. So if you guys are interested in more in Japanese language, and like they're global ones, but a lot of them are also Japanese ones. And it's manef.info, maneffe.info. And I'm going to click on there. So when you go there, it's going to be all in Japanese. But if you inform your browser that you want it translated, then, you know, it's not going to be perfect English or anything. But you can definitely get the drift. So at first I was like, manef. Then I remembered that in Japan, they like to shorten down English words. So it's easier. So this is Mandela effect, manef. So through here, they're called manef. So there's some ones I hadn't heard of in here, like this one. Did you know Dragon's Triangle, a magical sea area near Japan? And then she's marked it out. So click on each one of these. There's like a ton of them in here. And some of these you'll have heard and some you won't have heard, most likely. But there's a lot. So, and if you know anybody who speaks Japanese, I just think it's cool when we have foreign language, foreign country ones. Because we get people all the time are like, how come Mandela's only in America in the English languages? I'm like, because that's who comes here is people who speak English. So we don't get a ton of people who speak other languages. So, but when we do, they usually have a list of ones from their country, which is cool. Lindsay Hiccups, I'm a newbie sub. Usually I'm asleep. Well, glad to have ya. Buildings around me keep changing daily. Yeah, you know, if you find a hotspot that's in the mid-shift, keep watching because you'll find more. You'll see it shifty for quite some time sometimes. Yeah, Nobleness D remembers the circle on the outside for Converse. It's logical for it to be on the outside, but I just wasn't enough of a Converse fan to really, say for sure. I kind of remember it that way, but that was not a strong one for me. I'm just not a shoe person. Nobleness D is in. Welcome. Brain cerebrum is bum shaped now, two halves. Are you talking about the cerebellum, that little one in the back, the what do they call it, the tiny brain or whatever? Used to be one little ball, and now it's like two on the back. My boss speaks Japanese, but I've tried talking about the Mandela effect, and most I have spoken, I uh, just think I'm crazy. Yeah, a lot of times Japanese will be a little more open to like crazy stuff. It seems like the culture is a little bit more interested in that kind of thing. But there's always going to be a huge variation in any population. So I never bought Converse shoes, but I know the circle is on the outside. All right. So what was that? What was that thing? This ship thing. This is a trip. So I actually did see. We covered this. Did I cover this? I'm not sure if I totally covered this. So I saw this maybe a year or two ago, and on the Flat Earth channels of all places. Flat Earth channels are interesting because they just uncover a lot of weird stuff, and I don't always agree with their take on things. But you do have to admit that it's weird stuff. I don't always agree that it means the Earth is flat, but I do agree that that's like, so one of the things that they were doing was they were getting like really long binoculars and telescopes and looking out across the flat ocean to see how far they could still see objects. Like if you could see objects 100 miles away on the flat ocean, you really shouldn't, because the Earth is supposed to curve and block views of stuff over the horizon after a certain distance, according to round Earth theory. And so why they were confused is like, why could they see things really, really far away as if the Earth was flat? And so one of the things they would actually see was like a ship way out there would actually look, instead of disappearing below the horizon, it would look like it was floating above the water, like it wasn't even in the water. And so they were like, what is that? This is a trip. And so I was kind of like, I never really seen that like 10 years ago. I've never seen it look like the ship was above the water like that, but it was just like a little. And so I've seen that for like a year. And then just lately, there's been this thing where, and I saw it, a couple weeks ago myself. And then who also brought this one up? Flying Ship. Yeah, Jay Emblin brought this one up first to me. And I believe that Mark Tyus came in second as far as who got there first. So I'm giving it to Jay Emblin because that person posted first. Flying Ship. So what they're saying is, okay, so the last couple of weeks, suddenly I'm seeing these kind of images, like not just a little bit and really far away, but like this was, I think, some kind of a golf tournament, and they took images of it, and this ship looks like it's floating. And there's another one like here. Now these aren't Photoshop. They just take their camera out and take images, and it looks like these freaking ships are flying. I think I probably would wonder if my drink was spiked if I saw that. So that phenomena that the flat earthers are finding is kind of on steroids now. And there's another one that was hitting the airwaves on Yahoo News, which is, I believe, was it this one? I think this is the one that was hitting the Yahoo News one that I saw like maybe a week or two ago. So I've never seen anything like this. It's a trip. So the story on these is that they're a mirage that's caused by warm air over of cold water somehow causing the image to be like projected from its real location up higher. So if you actually boated out there, you'd see this ship actually sitting on the water, but from far away, it looks like it's flying. So it's called a superior mirage. And then they call it sometimes like a looming mirage, looming. So they're saying that this kind of mirage can make it look not only higher off the water, but also larger. So that's why we saw this one. So the story here is that this ship was probably like smaller and further away, and somehow the mirage make it look bigger. I mean, like, it's so weird because I've never really heard of this before. But there you go. I mean, there was only a couple kind of mirages in my old timeline, and this wasn't in there. So there you go. That you might see this crap, and you're not going crazy if you look out on the ocean and you see this, because this is just how it is now. Light is very strange here. Oh yeah, that Chinese city thing. Um, that one was a weird one because there was the image of the city way up there in the clouds, and then they said it was photoshopped. But some places were saying it could be a superior mirage. What was that, like 4 or 5 years ago? But most of the locations said, "Oh no, that's just Photoshop because it can't be a superior mirage," and blah blah blah. And last I checked, it was kind of agreed that it was photoshopped, but that kind of introduced the concept of a superior mirage. Like they're going, well, it's not a superior mirage, but that's kind of the first I'd ever even heard of something like that. The light curves to that's what they're hiding from us, but it just didn't used to for me before. Like now when the sun sets, the red of the sunset is all the way on the other side of the sky instead of just near where the sun set. And that never used to happen, but now they're like the light bends all the way around. And they said that even if like the moon and the sun are on opposite sides, and one's supposed to set when the other one rises, but they said you can see them both at the same time because the light bends the image of the one around, and just didn't used to be the case for me. That just didn't happen. Those zoom cams are popular with FE. Yeah, flat earth zoom cams. So Lindsay Hiccups, yeah, if you go to that channel, Neko Saku 50, you can just get the like you can use Google Translate, and it'll translate the whole web page, but also my browser will translate it, and that's I don't know, whatever that one that Windows makes, and then also I believe that most browsers will do it other than Firefox. So this probably translated as about as good as you could get. Plus, you don't have to bother somebody, which is always nice. Isn't that only in hot weather and it wouldn't be that high? Well, yeah, see, that's how it was. When I first saw these superior mirages, they were just a little, like really far away. They looked a little off the water. But it's gotten, like it's on steroids now, basically. It's gotten way more extreme. And so one of those images was on Yahoo News recently, and it's been getting quite viral. But the one I used from the thumbnail, I have never seen that one until I did a Google for it. So that's not the viral one, even though it's way more intense. And if you Google that one, it's verified as legit. It was a legit video, that one with the... That's the first one I've ever seen with like the colors and everything on the ship, that it was so close and so huge as well as high. I've never seen anything like that one before. It's even crazier than the one that's going viral. Saw two mirage snapped yesterday off ships off Cornwall. Very unlikely it was a huge tanker. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a thing now. The bottom of the boat is cut straight. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be like the part that was in the water. But you know, that's kind of a good question. Why is it that only the boat, like, there's a part where the boat touches the water? Why is that? How does it? There's no hot air under the boat, so how does it like cut out the boat and move it? I don't know. It seems to me like it just shouldn't work. I don't know. Moon is transparent. You can see stars in the dark part. I have never seen stars in the dark part. Let's see. Let me see how I say this. Yeah, no, I have seen where it looks like clouds are in it, but I don't think I've seen actual stars in the dark part yet. Much of the bottom of the boat seems to be missing. Yeah, that's supposed to be the part that's in the water. And so the mirage was not able to show that image because it was hidden in the water. Yeah, I do agree we need to question everything. I mean, but I don't even know what to say. I mean, there's definitely people in the chat here. Well, maybe it's an alternate dimension or something. I don't know. Or just that we're just coming into a reality that's just extra weird. It's the Mandela is trolling us again. Okay, speaking of, let's see. Well, actually, let me just go through these ones. All right, so I've already got channel comments covered. Doink. All right, this one, nine-headed bird. Where did this one come from? Nine-headed bird is from Mark Tyus. Nine-headed bird in Hubei, China. All right, so what's the deal with these birds? So basically, it's kind of like a hummingbird on steroids in that every time it moves its head, like the whole pattern on its head is different. So I don't want to do the whole video because I might get a copyright strike. But what I'll show you is basically he's moving his head around. And as he moves his head around, the whole look changes. Then he moves it back there. And so it's mostly just pink and black right now, but there is hints of yellow. So I think we got to keep an eye on this guy because I'm kind of guessing that we're going to get like more yellow in here down the line. Now, I tried to look this bird up on Wiki and there's like almost nothing. It basically just says, it says like nothing, basically. A bird in Hubei that's rare. This is about all it says. So anyways, just interesting one. The head almost looks like it's animated, but no, it's supposed to be a real bird. So you can check this video out. It's a rare nine-headed bird in Hubei, China. Also nine-headed bird, and then there's the Chinese for it, also called the nine phoenix. And this is basically what's in the wiki, is one of the earliest forms of the Feng Huang, worshipped by ancient natives in Hubei province, which during the Warring States period was part of Kingdom Chu. And that's like it. There's really just nothing else on it. So this one might be hot off the presses because when there's nothing in the wiki, a lot of times something's hot off the presses. Okay, now this one, they're kind of scattered around. A lot of times the last ones I look up are the ones I don't delete. Like, that's the ones that I kept the windows open on since I was looking at them just hours ago. Here we go. Okay. There's actually a prelude to this one. This is from Mark Tyus again. As usual, Mark Tyus has been busy finding Mandelas. So this one is pretty darn strange and a very interesting find. Okay, so these sea slugs, they basically self-decapitate. So they pop their own head off and they discard their body and then they grow a new body. You can't make this stuff up. It's totally insane. So apparently they don't need lungs or a heart or anything. The head, they're saying, is small enough that it could get air through diffusion in the skin, and it doesn't need a heart or anything. Some animals can regenerate a tail or limb, but researchers have now discovered some species of sea slug that can grow a whole new body. Get out of there. Complete with heart and other internal organs. Can't seem to get rid of these advertisings. Might have to go back. Try somebody else. How about this one? I was actually looking for a date on when this was found. Okay, so very recently. The animals survived for weeks without organs, only to regrow everything and go about their business. So there's the head that's popped off. The body. Now this one wants me to subscribe. How irritating. I had one on here earlier that wasn't so obnoxious, but now I can't find it. I mean, like, I found some other interesting stuff after this. Some animals, like these sacoglosson slugs, also known as sap-sucking sea slugs, can autotomize. I think it's autotomize. Sap-sucking sea slugs. I hadn't even heard of, like, there being sap in the ocean, but whatever. So what, they just chomp onto, like, plants and suck out the innards, I would guess. Now, there's been some really weird, this sacoglosson slugs, there's a bunch of really bizarre looking ones. These guys are kind of the Mandela magic, because there's, like, really, really weird ones that I've come up with before, and they were all part of this sacoglosson group. So autotomize is when an animal sheds a body part voluntarily. I've never heard of this word before, but I dug into it and found some other stuff. She said the research team couldn't determine why the slugs shed vital body parts, but some animals do it to remove internal parasites that inhibit their reproduction. So there you go. You got parasites, just shed your whole body. 336 days after they hatch. Okay, so what would be the point of doing that then? I mean, if they're laboratory bred, then they're not going to have any parasites or anything. So why just pop your head off then? They began feeding on algae within a few hours after losing their body parts and began to regenerate their heart within 7 days. After 20 days, the slugs had regenerated their entire body. See, every time I move it, that's what happens. Not all the slugs were as lucky. Older slugs, who were hatched 480 to 520 days prior to self-decapitation, did not feed and died within 10 days. It might seem like a silly choice for the older slugs to sever their head from their body if they won't survive, Machio said, but the old ones will die soon anyway, and there may be a chance of surviving and regenerating a parasite-free body. But if it's grown in the lab, it's not going to have parasites, so Machio isn't sure how the slugs can survive without some of their vital organs, but they can live without a heart, probably because their heads are small and can intake oxygen from their body surface. Other sacoglossons, sea slugs can regenerate appendages of or other body parts, but this is an extreme case. Okay, so we're seeing more and more of this ability to regenerate things. Ugh. That, I think, is a bat. I don't remember the front of their nose looking so creepy. I think that's the horsehead bat. Do they really look like that now? I gotta take a quick glander at this horsehead bat. Last I checked them, their front of their snout didn't look that weird. Yeah. All right, so the horsehead bats have shifted. Because look, that's the front of their nose now. It's all weird in the front. Because they weren't weird enough already. Now, it's ridiculous. You just can't keep up with these things. Look at, so this weird flappy, speaking of sea slugs, they look like if a sea slug on their snout. I don't remember it being all like that recently. They just had the horse head, but they didn't have the sea slug snout. And this thing, whatever the heck. See all that? That wasn't there. Wait. Look at that. All right, I think that's a different guy. All right, anyway, so yes. Okay, so back to the decapitating, autotomizing sea slugs. Okay, so I looked up autotomy to see what else could do it. So basically self-shedding. So we've seen this before with lizards. Like if somebody chomps a lizard's tail, the lizard will drop the tail and regrow it. So that one's been around a really long time. I do suspect that like 30 years ago it wasn't for me, but it's, maybe 20 years ago I probably heard of it. Okay, so what other things do it? Apparently the crab industry, crabs do this. They just drop their claws. So there's a bunch of fishing industries where they just take 1 or 2 claws off the crab and then throw them back. So they're supposed to be self-sustaining. You're just kind of, it's like picking fruit off a tree. You just pick the claws off the crab and throw them back, and they grow new claws. The claw is one of the favorite parts to eat anyway. So the crabs will often drop their claws if like they're fighting or somebody bites the claws. So we just basically pluck off the claws. Manual declawing of crabs is practiced in many fisheries, including the southern Florida stone crab, the northeast Atlantic deepwater red crab, the southern Iberian fiddler crab, and in northern Europe, the edible crab Cancer pagurus. After declawing, the animal is released, and the practice of manual declawing is defended because the crabs may naturally autotomize a claw or walking leg, for example, when grasped by a potential predator, and then regenerate the lost limb. It has thus been argued that manual declawing offers a sustainable resource within the fishery. So I've never heard of this before. I've never heard of them just catching crabs, yanking off the claws, and then throwing them back in. I don't know if you guys have, but that's pretty bizarre. So right now, it looks like crabs are kind of the highest level animal that I could find. Crabs and lizards that do this autotomy thing. I suspect very strongly that we will see more in the coming shifts, though. Mother slug to her children, stop leaving your bodies around. Why pop your body off if you're for no reason? Like, I can see if it actually was infested with parasites, but you just do it for what? Funsies? That's just, it's so weird. I swear some of my family are not the same person. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of us have had that experience. And they'll shift again, and sometimes they'll be more like the old person, but probably your histories don't match anymore. If you start talking about the old days, like famous family events that happen, you will probably see that they don't remember them the same way as you. This will sound crazy, but Eve to me looks different. Eva to me. Yes, I think I look different. Most recently, I feel like my eyes are further back and like my nose, mouth are more forward in comparison. I especially notice it when I turn my head to the side. And that happened after I got back from Colorado, from Arizona. So that was late January, the second trip back. I was looking at myself. You know, when you're out camping, you don't really hardly even have a mirror or anything, so you don't really look at that. And then I got back here and I was looking at myself on the video. I'm like, I look weird. I mean, there's been other changes in general. You know, I definitely there's more cheekbone up here. We saw that in this craniums online too. Just cheekbone is much higher up here now. I think my head got more pointy. I was getting kind of upset because my hair wouldn't lay the way I like it. And finally, I kind of figured out 6 months ago about that my head was a little pointy, and that's why my hair wasn't laying right. Oh my God, my partner's same way. She says, what can you do about it? And I don't care. That is just the weirdest thing when they say that. You know, I can almost, denial makes more sense than I don't care. Just a hunch, what's the oxygen ratio to nitrogen? I don't know, it's constantly changing. Used to be a lot more oxygen in my old environment. JJ's in, Matt Myers in, bit of Venom's in. Don't know how anybody's not affected. I know, and it's just getting more and more wild. The ride just, it just isn't slowing down. Yes, your face looks longer up and down. Yeah, I do. I think there's more like real estate right here. Um, I think everybody's heads are getting longer, but I can definitely see it more in myself because I see it, daily. Yeah, the old rib thing. A lot of people do remember men having one less rib. I heard so much about that, but in my timeline, that was never the case. It wasn't for me. Because for me, it was God stole one rib from Adam to make Eve, but then it'd just be like if I lost a rib, it doesn't mean my kids will lose a rib, right? So it wasn't meant that all the men would have less one rib in my timeline. It's kind of trippy to me that there was a timeline when they all did, but there's so many people who say that I don't doubt it anymore. If it was just a few people, well, maybe you were just uneducated, but so many people have said that. Silver E55. Mount Rushmore, Washington's left shoulder, now left arm. Yes, 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 yes. Neko Saku 50 had mentioned that, and I'll get to it eventually. Women have less ribs than men because they get pregnant. But it was men that had less ribs, right? Because they took, like in the Bible, you took one rib from the man to make the woman. So it would be the man who had less ribs. Yeah, I did cover how they grow back, although currently you have to have that sheath around the rib intact in order for it to grow back. If they cut into that sheath, it won't. I'm not sure how long that'll stay like that, but I suspect that we'll get more regrowth over time, but that was how it was last I checked. Okay, got that one. All right. Women and makeup lovers everywhere. How do you spell Estee Lauder? Famous makeup brand. Yeah, the height of the lower jaw looks taller. I don't know, there's been a lot of changes. The whole jaw is just so much more robust now. And I also, I can see it on my face. There didn't used to be a sticky outy part right here where this jaw now is beefy and it sticks out so much. And I actually can feel it because for most of my life, I didn't like any hard breads. I didn't like hard crusts and stuff because my jaw would get kind of tired. I don't know. I was just wimpy. I don't know. I just had a wimpy jaw and I'd just be like, oh, chew. It's so hard to chew. And then 5 years ago or something, it just went away and I can chew really hard now because I got this big old beefy jaws. And when you get older, you're not supposed to get stronger, so it's the reverse of what you would expect. So yeah, I now am perfectly fine with really hard chunks of bread because I can just nosh into it. Eddie Vance Adore here. Okay, so Jumping Ship remembers 1 E, Silver E55, and Morpheus Dreams remembers 2 E's. If ribs grow back, why do women undergo an operation to get their ribs removed? Like I said, if the sheath is damaged, it won't regrow. That's the current story. Okay, most of you remember the current timeline Estee Lauder. For me, Estee Lauder only had the 1 E. I'll type it in. So it was Estee. And it did have that accent thingy. So it was like that. E-S-T-E with the accent thingy. Lauder. But John Austin remembers 1 E, and I agree with that. For me, it was 1 E. Now it looks like Estee Lauder, which would have probably confused me when I was younger, because I didn't used to... I wasn't until high school that I took French, so I wouldn't have known how to pronounce the A with the accent thing. So it would have been Estee Lauder. So, yeah, for me, that has changed. That's awesome if we get stronger as we get older. I feel stronger. I do feel stronger in some ways. I feel like certain layouts in this body are just more efficient, like the hips, walking, and certain things, and jaw muscles definitely. And I do think that I'm stronger now at my age than people were when I was a kid at 50. When I was a kid, when you were 50, you were getting ready to bite it, you know. And now when you're 50, yeah, not really. Okay, so most of you do remember the two E's, but anyway, for me it was one E. Okay, the other one, I don't know if this one's been covered. This is another one from John Austin, and I think we might have covered it, but I'm not sure. It's Ralph Machio. How do you remember Ralph Machio being spelled? If you know that guy, stronger in the legs. Yeah, I do think I'm stronger in a lot of ways. My knees were kind of creaky, and then suddenly they got way better and they were fine for years. Lately they've been creaky again, and I think there's been some weird knee stuff because a lot of people I know are saying their knees have been bothering them too, and they're all different ages. So I'm hoping I'll get through the knee issues and back to the non creaky knees. So what they've been kind of like, and here's the thing, it's both knees. So that makes me think it's some kind of Mandela shift because they shouldn't both be doing it at the same time. So what they're kind of doing is, if I'm not real careful, they'll kind of pop out side to side, or like kind of almost pop out. And it's weird because it won't happen for days, and then for a while it'll just want to do it, and then it won't. All right, so we're getting 50-50 on the Machio. My ankles click frequently. Only 27. I don't know, clicking. Once you're 50, that's the least of your worries. Okay, yeah, the headband on Ralph Machio, that's an older Mandela, but the spelling. All right, I'm going to look up the next one while you guys are goofing around. Oops. I'm using Bing now. This browser seems to be more stable than Firefox was, but I'm not as used to it. Let's see it. Okay, so we want the Musée Rodin. All right, so there's a bunch of thinkers now, so I'm going to try to stick with the one from Musée Rodin, so that they're all supposed to look the same, but all right, this one kind of epitomizes my main point. That one actually might do it better. Always remember they get creaky when weather's going to change. I don't know. It'll only be for an hour or two, and then I don't think that's it. Like it was a couple days ago. Anyone see the E at the end of wall E? There's red circles around it now. Okay, let me jump over there. Loading. That doesn't really look familiar to me. I'm talking about this. The whole font looks kind of strange to me. I just remember it being a little more sharp. I don't remember that red circle, though. Yeah. that I don't know. The whole thing looks kind of weird. Oh, and it's on him too. The weird circle thing. I don't remember it being. Yeah, no. It just. I don't. What was it before? Just. It looks all. It looks totally different. Maybe you guys could tell me. It just. I don't even recognize any of it. I think for songs, one of the reasons I don't cover them anymore is because they're, for me, every last one of them almost has a few word changes. A lot of times they're smaller ones, but. Okay, so Morpheus remembers different font also. Head looks different. Oh, yeah, good point. The eyes look like sad eyes now. I don't remember that sad eyes look. Weren't they more like circle? Now he looks like he's puppy dog eye thing or something going on. I just remember him like more circular like. Look at he looks like he's pouting all the time now. That's a good catch. So the toys have it too. Lindsay Hiccups does not remember the red dot either. Herbal Essences now. Herbal Essences, yeah, that's an older ME, definitely. Pupils has moved. Yeah, I think I remember like a dash on there or something. I don't remember what there is now with the dot and stuff. I can't swear to it, but a dash does seem a little more right. Just a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down for me. I think it helps now. What just happened to safety dance? I don't know. Give me the thing. I can't play safety dance on here. I'll get a giant copyright strike. So if I wanted to check it, I'd have to turn the whole show off to do that. Rivets next to his eyes. Oh, the whole thing looks weird. All right, so there's the eyes. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I know the shape is different. And I think that these lens things are just bigger in general. I can't swear to the rest of this. I only saw the show once. Of course, I saw the advertisements tons of times, but... Okay, yeah, it helps. It's an older Mandela. I've definitely heard that one a bunch of times. Okay, so Ralph Machio is now 2 C's. Thanks for reminding me. I only remember one. It looks like it's 50-50 on that one. If I put in 1, it forces me to the 2, Ralph Machio. So, again, the kind of weird double C spelling. I don't think my old timeline even had any words that had that. Machio. So for me, it looks like Machio or something. There was no double C like that. I don't know, the spelling, like English wasn't hard enough to spell. This timeline is just making it more crazy. Oh yeah, Sweet Dreams are made of this. Okay, that's an older Mandela. I do remember Sweet Dreams are made of these. But that one's, I mean, I do think it changed, but it's definitely one of those more subtle ones. South America's going to rejoin Africa. Yeah, or get pretty close. There's a thing in the Bible where it says that in the future, like there'll just be like the earth will have just one big river that goes all the way around. And when I see the shifts, I sometimes feel like they're heading that route. Like there'll just be one big river if I live that long. If I live through enough shifts to get there. All right. Okay, this one, got that one. Okay. Dr. Seuss has been in the news a lot. Okay, so a lot of people remember. Let's see, so it's you. People remember let's see, what is it now? It is SE. Okay, so people remember it. An older Mandela, if you recall, is that he once was Dr. Seuss, Suess. And then it switched to what we have now, which is here, Seuss. But what's interesting about that shift, now it makes me crazy because I always want to remember the old way. See if I can find this. So apparently they're saying that we've been saying it wrong this whole time, and that his name is actually Seuss. It's I think I wrote it down here. Seuss. So they're saying that the Seuss that we now see the spelling is actually supposed to be pronounced Seuss, and that we've been saying it wrong the whole time. Now, if it was Suess, then it wouldn't be pronounced like that. So, interesting. So everybody just said it wrong this whole time, apparently, because we're all a bunch of morons. Zois or Sois. I've seen a couple different versions of it. I don't know. It's not a big deal, but I just think it's really interesting because first we see the Mandela shift in the name spelling, and now we're told it's pronounced wrong. If it was Uess, Suez would make more sense, but now with Seu, Zeus, Zeus, or whatever, I don't know. It just seems. I just thought it was fishy anyway, and of course it comes up right when there's all this drama about the old books and stuff. Just seemed a little fishy. All right, so the thinker. I did notice some new changes in the thinker. I'm trying to find an image that'll show it good. That one won't. This one shows it pretty good. Okay, so the first thing I noticed is that the feet, they've got these like knobby toes. This doesn't show it perfectly, but it's all kind of bumpy here. And then the other thing I noticed that his feet are laid down by the bottom of the stone, and I've actually been watching the feet for a while, and so they used to be kind of like on a shelf thingy, but now the feet almost touch the ground. That shows it pretty good. So they're very close to the ground now. The other thing I noticed is that the calf muscles are very streaky. There's been a subtle continuing shift on the face where he just looks more like monkey goobery looking with his knuckle in his mouth, and his cheeks pouch out a little bit more, but it's kind of subtle. Now, wasn't his hand kind of sticking out like that? I just realized it's all clutchy. There was a while where it was sort of like this. It looks like the fingers have bent in. I just noticed that. Let's see. Yeah, look, those fingers they were sort of like this for a while. Now they're like that. So there's been a little change here. Yep. That's very minor, but this one I really noticed. Here, see, look, the toes are almost on the ground. And there used to be like inches and inches of rock here on this stumpy rock thing he's sitting on, and now the feet are right down there. I've actually been watching these feet. Because way back I think they were even very different from this, and I keep looking at them trying to remember what it was before, but I couldn't do it. But that was one of the reasons I was really looking at the feet the whole time, is because I'm like, if only I could remember how it was before. All right, the other thing I noticed, I can't swear it's a Mandela, but I don't think it was like this before. You can kind of see it with this one. His butt is not 100% on the stool thing anymore. Here, this is the streaky leg thing that I noticed this time. Just looks kind of, I don't know. I mean, this quality of this statue is just more meh all the time. You can totally see there how close his feet are on the bottom. Oh, whoops. Images. Now, when I was pawing through this before, I found a nice residue image, but I don't know if it'll still be there now. You know, you'd think that if you do a search earlier in the day and then you do it like today, like you do it later in the day, the same stuff would come up, but it looks like that image is already gone. But basically there was like kind of a replica small one that you could buy. And I think it was this one, but it had a whole bunch of material underneath here, like the old school one, and now it's gone. All right, so here's the one that I was looking at that kind of clued me in that his butt, see, his butt is not really on the whole stone anymore, and I think that's changed. You can see it also here. See, he's shifting off the thing. So basically the stool thing is getting smaller. I don't know what the point of it is, but see if I can find a better view. Okay, that kind of shows you. See, he's like one butt cheek is like falling off now. I guess he's not smart enough to sit all the way on there. Now, I did see an interesting residue when I was looking this up of somebody posing with the hand on the forehead pose, but of course now I don't see it. Actually, there was a really good one of his butt falling off, but I can't find it now. You get the drift, though. Ugh, that one's not it either. Anyway, he's fallen off the rock now, so. Change for me. All right, that's one page worth. Dr. Swish. Zeus, I think it is. He also looks like he's gonna fall forward off balance. Yeah, it's just a little different now. Yeah, that's like us after we see, when we first learn of the Mandela. It's like, ah. Do personal pics also change or copy? Yeah, photos change. If the original changes, the photo will change. I've never seen an exception. Copying Bible passages in own handwriting. Ooh, maybe or maybe not. I've heard stories of either or. You might have a better chance if you use sloppy cursive, though. I thought they had original at the Vatican and its whole upper body is gone. I don't know what you're talking about on that one. Was the Thinker? Because since the last 4 or 5 years, the Thinker was at the Musée de Rodin, the Rodin Museum. But there's multiple of them now. But I do not recall that story that you said of the whole upper body being gone. Now, granted, I wasn't a total expert on the Thinker until I started really watching it, like 4 years ago. Hand of Lincoln is moving away from the armrest. Are we talking about Lincoln Memorial here? I'm going to take a wild guess. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, the hand. It got kind of clutchy. It looks even a little more clutchy than last time. Kind of slipping off of the hand wrist. Right here. I don't want to see a million of those. I cry uncle. Old photos look HD. Yeah, I know. Okay, next one. All right, so Sapioid mentioned something about transparent leaves, and I looked and I couldn't find a lot, but I did find this one. I have a feeling that that they're talking about something else than what I found, but I'm gonna just cover this one for now. I don't remember this succulent with these. Okay, so looking at this one, what I remember for this Haworthia here is that they had kind of like a whitish edges here. This was kind of whitish, and then it was greenish. But now these are transparent. All these leaves in here are transparent. So that's kind of a trip. I don't remember there being a Haworthia with transparent ends like this. This is really neat looking, but I don't remember it like that. As far as I can tell, it's not new. I just remember this being less prominent and kind of a whitish thing. So and then they got a red version now, and so it's all transparent in there. So the way that Sapioid was talking about it, it sounded like she was found some kind of flat transparent leaves, but I don't know. I'm not having luck finding what you guys are telling me the last couple weeks. There's been a number of ones where somebody said, look up this, and then I looked and I don't know if it's Bing doesn't like me or Google doesn't like me, but I haven't been able to find them lately. Not all of them. Some of them I've been able to find. I think that's the same image. But yeah, these are really cool looking. And they're supposed to be quite hardy. So if you want to get one of these, they're not supposed to be that hard to take care of. Alright, so that was Sapioid. Found that one. And make sure everybody else got mentioned. Yeah. Next one is space hurricane. So a lot of people saw this one and mentioned it, but the first person that mentioned it to me was Lori Sorensen. But there was a couple other people that also brought it up. This person, Lori, was the first one. So this is kind of an extension of the last one I covered, which was about the like plasma at the north and south poles over there. So they're saying that the aurora borealis is not just electrons, but it's like a whole plasma field. So it's kind of a subtle difference, but I've never until recently heard it referred to as plasma and plasma storms. So now apparently we have these space hurricanes. Scientists have observed first ever space hurricane above Earth. A mass of plasma hundreds of miles above the North Pole, raining in electrons. Using satellite data from 2014. The new finding could help scientists learn more about how the sun affects Earth's atmosphere, gathering more details, blah, blah, blah. Until now, it was uncertain that space plasma hurricanes even existed, so to prove this with such a striking observation is incredible. It looks like it's retroactive to 2014, apparently. The international team created a 3D model of the space hurricane that looked very much like the more commonly known hurricanes found swirling above oceans around the world. Thought to be the result of solar wind and Earth's magnetic field interacting, was found spinning counterclockwise with spiral arms, and it lasted for 8 hours. Researchers think these kinds of storms could also create more drag on satellites and interfere with radio signals and communications, making these events particularly important to understand. Okay, so that's pretty much all I found on it. Just the concept is kind of weird, though. All right, and then this one, again, is from Lori Sorensen. So, I guess swimming with dolphins now is not the fun and games it used to be. Or maybe it's more. I don't know. I guess it depends on your bent. See if I can say this without getting tagged by YouTube. So basically, if you swim with them now, they get frisky on you. So they'll try to they become like, well, how do I even say this? I'm trying to say it so I don't get a copyright strike. But basically, they're hormonal now, and so they get, and they see us as mates, and so you get like this kind of thing, and then they do all the motions and everything. So this is like now a known threat or a known issue you have to deal with if you want to swim with dolphins. Is they get a little frisky. I've never heard of that until recently. It used to be, maybe if they would crabby, they might bite you, although it was rare. But there was never like this problem. So, again, the pervy timeline is struck again. Blue bananas. Yeah, an older Mandela for me a couple years ago. Somebody brought those up. Although they turned upside down, what, like a year ago? Yeah, sapioid. Where did you find that? I think we might see transparent leaves being used as primitive windows. Yeah, they're using the old timelines now used these selenite windows as some of the older churches used this. Before there was glass, there was selenite windows, which is this stuff. So if you get big chunks of this selenite, and sometimes it can be pretty flat, and it comes out of the earth naturally like this, and sometimes there'll be big, kind of thin, flat ones. You can just kind of caulk those together, or glue them together, and they make an okay window. And so I did see like old churches, some of them have this selenite as you can see, it's fairly clear, uses the selenite for windows. That would be a little more sturdy than leaves, because leaves would kind of get, broken up and stuff. However, I was looking for your translucent, your see-through leaves, and I wasn't able to really find them in a Google other than the ones I showed. I want to go to this big zoo and see all these critters. Yeah, it's been a trip because there's definitely been some stuff show up at the zoo that I'm like, what? I thought there was only 200 of those in the world. And then there's one at the zoo. And then I look, oh, there's 5,000 of them in the world. They just keep expanding. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we got more translucent leaves, because we have those albino trees with the albino leaves, so. Mica. Yeah, I don't know. Mica for windows. I don't. Is mica. Translucent mica. Let's see. Do we have that? Oh, yeah, it gets fairly translucent. Mica's pretty flaky, though. I'm thinking that the selenite, but selenite will slowly dissolve in water, and I don't think mica does. So probably depends on what's available in your location, though. And the selenite is more translucent. You could probably maybe coat it with the outside with something so that the water wouldn't get directly on it. If you coated it, that should protect it pretty well, actually. I found one or two where. So the only transparent leaves I saw were ones where like some kind of pest had eaten all the chlorophyll out of it. Egyptian glass. Is that the silica that was supposedly hit by the meteorite? Egyptian glass. Oh no, it's just glass. All right, so Egyptian glass is glass. Okay, next. Got you. All right, this one is kind of gross, but so, the whole argument, this has been very shifty. When I was a kid, they always said that cavemen and like our ancestors were hunters and they ate a lot of meat. but they were also gatherers, but it was like mostly large game animals, and then the women would gather vegetables and stuff like that. So then there was an argument that, oh no, we actually were all vegetarian. Oh no, we ate a lot of meat. So that's like going back and forth. I swear I see a different thing every 5 seconds, but this is one I have not seen. This one's from Mark Tyus. Kind of goes along with the current gross timeline. Early man butchered and ate the brains of children as part of diet. A new study of fossil bones in Spain shows that cannibalism was a normal part of daily life around 800,000 years ago among Europe's first humans. Human flesh known as long pig. So I saw this at a number of places, but I'll just go to this Daily Mail one. I mean, it looks like it's legit. So basically, they found a lot of bones of children, and it looks like they've been all like cut up with like, you know, there's scar when you butcher an animal for food. A lot of times there's like scar marks from the knife in a telltale way, and so they're basically saying they found that on all these children's brains, and it looks like they were cut open to get the brain material out and popped open to get the marrow out and all that. So they're assuming that we like ate them basically because of the way they were broken open and butchered open. Bermudez de Castro said that the area around the caves would have been a rich source of food, so there would have been little need to turn to cannibalism as a last resort. Instead, the practice was probably more widely used as a way to dealing with competition from neighboring tribes. Children will have been targeted as they would have been less capable of defending themselves. The defleshed bones were found in excavations in Sierra de Atapuerca in the north of Spain. I don't know, just kind of in keeping with the timeline. Whatever. Hopefully we'll flop out of that timeline eventually. All right, another kind of weird, gross one. I don't know, it's not as bad as that one, but... all right, another one from Mark Tyus. The butchered one was his, and this one's his. Pablo Picasso. Have you ever heard this weird story? Pablo Picasso would carry a gun with blanks and shoot at people who asked about the meaning of his paintings. There he is with his gun. So if you said, "What does your painting mean?" apparently he would point that at you and shoot a blank. Is it even legal? Seems like something you probably would have heard before now, but that's a 2 years ago statement. I don't even remember seeing pictures of him, not to mention him going around with this gun, pointing it at people. Oh, don't worry, they don't show you the butchered children. Yeah, it's Soylent Green for dinner. Yum. Now I'm just teasing you. All right. This is one also that I just thought was interesting because of the whole mud floats. Have you ever heard of mud rain or rain dust? Common in Western and Southern Mediterranean. If anybody's from there, have you ever heard of these things? Mud rain or rain dust? So I've been saying for a while that I really don't remember like these giant dust storms traveling across the world so easily. Like dust from the Sahara makes it all the way to the United States or Europe, and then it's turning the skies red, and so we're getting these weird like red suns and purple skies and all this crap. I don't remember stuff like that happening. Like, I don't remember dust getting up into the high atmosphere and traveling so far. So apparently now another thing that can happen is like the rain combines with the dirt in the sky and makes like muddy rain, and it comes down and it'll leave behind a little bit of like dirt after. So say it rains all over your car and then the car dries. Now your car will be covered with like a thin film of dirt because the rain was all full of dirt. So they're calling that mud rain or rain dust. Common in western and southern Mediterranean. Has anybody even heard of that? It seems like it's kind of a certain kind of a direction the stories are heading in with this dirty rain, mud rain. We had mud rivers, but not mud rain. Yeah, it just, I'm wondering if that's going to grow and we're going to get like, you know, mud rain, because it's kind of just like dirt rain right now. But all right. All right, and this one was from Nekosaku 50. George Washington's face. So let's go to maybe I'll go to the saved one. All right, so there seems to be that there, to me, they weren't really, I think Negosaku said that this Washington had turned, and I agree with that. There's something going on with these three now. I felt like these two had the same face direction before, and then this one was facing in, and Lincoln was facing this way. But now these two kind of have the same face direction, and Washington's face has turned, and I would say that the head of Washington is like out more than it was before. So this has gotten shifty, and there's something a little different about the heads too. Like, I don't remember this one having the highest head. The other thing is, I think that Lincoln has gotten more stone on top of his head. It's almost like Washington's popping out, but Lincoln is getting like slurped in a little bit or something. It seems like he's got a lot of stone on top of his head now. So yeah, it just, look at how much turned Washington is. So I agree with Nekosaku 50 on this one. Okay. See, the head just looks like it's out more. This head looks like it's in more. There's also something a little bit different about the alignment of this pseudo gun on the side. This hand used to really look like it was grabbing the pseudo gun, but now the hand, which is here, is more forward, so it doesn't. This hand used to look like it was grabbing the lapel, and the lapel looked like part of the pseudo gun, but now the hand is down here. It's not grabbing the lapel anymore, so there's been a shift in that as well. See, hand way down there. There's something just a little different. And see, there's so much rock on top of the head now. It's almost like this one's getting pulled in. I don't know why these statue ones get to me so much. Somehow it's just extra weird. They become alive or something. I'm just checking to see if I've missed any, but I don't think I have. I think this is the last one. See, Washington's gotten so much more prominent now. There was never sandstorm coming to Tehran from Iraq, but since 2016 it's a thing too. Yeah. Mud rain, at least it still cleans the cars. No, it doesn't though, because it leaves dirt behind on the cars. So no more free car washes for you. Why is there a hand at all? I don't know. I don't think there originally was. It looks like it's sunk down lower or something. Like it used to be up here, so there's like more carving, I guess, then if the hand is lower. Also, like right in here, it looks all scalloped. And I have not seen that scalloped look on the gun part before. Just, I don't know, just weird. So basically, Lincoln is kind of popping out and leaving the party. He's turned his head away from the others. This little notch over here has moved around a little bit too. I don't know if this is going to turn into something finally after all this time or what. See, it looks like this hand, there's this, I think this part is new here. Because there was just the lapel and then the hand was up here. But now we have this flat thing. I don't even know what that's supposed to be, like a lower part of the lapel instead of just these top pieces. And the hand is down here now. Lincoln is considered racist now. Everybody's racist now. Math is now called racist. I'm getting tired of it. There's a point where I think if you call everything racist, then nothing's racist. You know what I mean? Because you just can't think racism on everything. I don't think it's really accomplishing anything to say everything's racist all the time. To pick the stuff that's really, really racist and concentrate on that might be a little more effective. Washington definitely looks like he is forming more and more. You know, there's been a hand for me for a couple years now, but I don't remember one way back. I don't, you know, the left has gone so left, the right has gone so right, that the regular liberals now are like, what? You know, the left is even turning on the liberals now, and they're calling them dinos, Democrat in name only, and then the right has gotten so right, they're turning on the regular Republicans and calling them rhinos, Republican in name only. Both sides are chewing up their own sides. It's just more and more division. You know, I don't know. Maybe we'll just divide so much that everybody will just have be their own little island or something. And you look at the like masks versus no masks people, and there's this big fight over that. Never wear them, always wear them, and like everything is division. Even in the way the Mandela is, because it's like we who see it and those who don't. You know, there's definitely people on like Redcon that are like, I'm not even going to hang out with people if you can't see the Mandela, and then more division. And I don't know, there's just so much division now. I think we got to try to get along, you know? I mean, what else are you going to do? You're going to just, because we're all getting like so separated with our ideas that we're never going to find anybody who agrees with us on everything. You can kind of do it online a little bit, but even, you know, even with the Mandelas, you know, when we first started, I could find people who saw most of the same Mandelas as me, but I can't now. Everybody has totally different Mandelas now. So that's, again, it's like more division. I mean, we don't usually fight over it, at least, although a few people do, but lungs are divided into the upper lobe, middle lobe. Yeah, I know there's three lobes on one side and two lobes on the other side. That was not the case for me originally. It used to be there was just the two lobes on each side. Total four lobes. That was it. There were the two sides of the lungs were also symmetrical. They were the same on each side for me. You know, my stepfather had lung cancer, and so I looked at it because he had one of the four lobes removed. I had kind of studied all that, and of course, I studied it in high school and college. So that extra lobe is new, and that they're not symmetrical is new. Not super new though, like a couple years old, but a certain group uses it to discredit arguments to appeal to emotions rather than logic. You know, all of the sides are using emotion versus appealing to logic. I won't say that it's just one side. I see both sides doing it in slightly different ways, but if we talk about racism while it's not racism, then we only create more racism. I do think that that's happening. It's just like that everybody is being made so conscious of the races. You can't even just, like, if you look at little kids, they don't even really think about it longer than 5 minutes. And then they just go ahead and get along because they just, oh, you look kind of weird. Oh, well, you're still kind of like everybody else, so forget it. And then they forget all about that. And they get along fine, and they won't spend any time on it. You know, but I mean, there is racism, and I do think we should work to minimize it. But on the flip side, humans, you know, we split things up into categories. That's how we are. So you're never going to completely get rid of it, because there's insecure people out there who are looking for a way to feel better, and the way they can do that is to say, I'm better than you because of whatever, your race, your income, your upbringing, your lineage, your intelligence level, your education level, your opinions on politics, your gender, how good you look or don't look, how fat you are or aren't, your musculature, your ability at your job. There's like a whole bunch of things that we judge on, and race is one of them. And I'm not saying it's right, but really, people who are like that, they're insecure and they're trying to make themselves feel better, and that's how they do it. Now, racism is a convenient one because if I'm white and you're black and I think I'm better because I'm white, you're never going to be able to be as white as I am if you're not white. So that's one way where I can be sure to win. Now, if it was education or intelligence or anything, maybe if you studied really hard or something, you could kick my butt at those. You could work harder. You might eventually earn more money than me if you worked hard or got a good job or something. But you'd never win on race because you're stuck with the race you're stuck with. So I think that's why people do that, but it's just a sign of insecurity. People just need to, you know, maybe if we have a little bit better upbringing, a better society, we can help on that. But I don't think you're ever going to get rid of it because humans are insecure, you know, and making it, I think that just emphasizing the skin color alone is really not the solution, though. We really have to look at the insecurity that breeds that. I mean, there's a million things that people get judged on. It's not just race. Race is one of them. And it's one of the few that you can't do much about, but a lot of the others you can't do as much about, like gender and looks and stuff. You can't do much about those. I mean, you could get a bunch of plastic surgery. Gender is pretty hard to really change 100%. Talking about Mark of the Beast. Yeah, I don't think we have the Mark of the Beast yet. I don't think it's the shots, but I think we might be getting in on it soon. I think there's going to be some kind of It looks like the vaccine passport business is really kicking up. New York is already talking about having some kind of vaccine passport if you want to go to like big concert events and stuff. Los Angeles Unified School District said they've developed a vaccine passport thing for the kids to go to school. Several countries are already saying it's going to be mandatory to have a vaccine passport. So vaccine passports are, they're already almost here in a lot of places. So the real question is going to be how strongly will they be enforced and in which countries? Once we have those and a lot of pressure on having those, then there's going to be fakes. And once there's going to be fakes and fake paperwork and black market ones, then there'll be a push to implant. And once they're implanting the mark, I think that's the mark of the beast. That's my opinion anyway. If that's not the mark of the beast, I don't know what it is. Because it even says that, you'll have to have it in order to do commerce. And that's exactly what they're saying, that there's going to be some kind of identity thing. Like, we can't prove your identity if you don't have your tattoo, your identity tattooed on you. Yeah, the weed from the tar is. I think that there's something like that happening. I think this division is part of it. There's so much division. So how do you treat the people that you don't agree with? Like the maskers and the anti-maskers are, going at it. I hope you die. You're ruining my life. Blah blah blah. It's just gotten so full of hatred and stuff. I don't think that's the right route for either side to take. Both sides are sure that the other side is ruining their life and blah blah blah. So just another reason to basically sling hatred, excuse to sling hatred. The right hand of Dr. Clark's statue is not pointing. Yeah, I don't know that statue. I went over some of that stuff from your website earlier, and some of those I just don't know. I don't know that Dr. Clark one. I didn't know that Buddha statue one. It's kind of like some of that is very maybe Japanese know it really well, but Americans don't. Woody's is supposed to have been a cow pattern from the first movie. The vest, for me, it was brown. I actually don't remember it being a cow pattern. I actually had that on a while ago. Woody's, it's vest for English, not best. VEST. So anyway, yeah, I went over all the ones that you mentioned in the comments already. If you rewatch the show, it's at the beginning part of the show. Hatred does not mean racist. Yeah, you can hate people for other reasons. It doesn't have to be racist. You can hate them because of their politics or their mask opinions or a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, the whole like falling victim to emotions thing seems to be a big thing lately. A lot of people just seem to have not be very good at rational thought anymore. So even when something is obviously not logical, they just can't see it. Easiest way to ameliorate racism is to not talk about it. I don't. There was racism even was it wasn't on TV and stuff much. It still was there, But I mean, you can argue people were talking about it, but they were talking about it behind the scenes. If nobody ever talked about it ever again, maybe it would go away. But I mean, realistically, that's not going to happen. So I just feel like it's gotten worse. Whatever is going on now is not fixing it. It's not working. I don't think saying like math is racist and some of this stuff is just way. It's just watering down the main subject so much. You're just like pick your battles, you know? I mean, because there's always going to be disadvantages and stuff. There's always, you know, like I'm not a very visual person. And when I go to school, a lot of the education is very visual oriented because a lot of the other students are visual. And it's just one of those things I just have to deal with. I could say, oh, it's not fair that you made everything visual and I'm not good at it. Well, there's always going to be stuff like that. You just can't make everything perfect for everybody. There's, you know, oh, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm not as good looking as this other girl. Yeah, you know, like if I'm carrying something heavy down the street, no guys would stop and ask if I needed help getting that thing carried. But if I was a hot chick with short shorts on, lots of guys would stop and ask if I needed help getting that thing carried. It's just, you know, it's just, you're not going to always have all the advantages. So there's a point where we try to make it more fair, but there's also a point where you're never going to be able to make it 100% fair. There's always going to be things where you're going to have some disadvantages. Maybe that chick is really hot, but she's not very smart, so she's going to have other problems, you know, because she won't know how to handle her money, or she, you know, whatever. There's going to be problems that she's going to have that I won't have. There's going to be problems that I have that she doesn't have. And race is always going to be one of those things. Well, not always. I hope it's not always. But yeah, there's definitely going to be some people that are going to have a harder time getting a job because there's going to be some racism. But that doesn't mean you can't get a job. You still can. I mean, there's definitely a lot of successful people of all the different races. And some of them did have to work harder. But if you're going to fixate on every way you can't do something, you'll never get anything done. I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons why I shouldn't have been able to succeed. And all the times I spent thinking about those was not helpful at all. What I really needed to be thinking about was how to get around those problems. And that's when I started doing that is when I was successful. So there's a point where it's good to recognize problems and work on them. But then I think there's also a point where all you think about is problems and not solutions, and complaining, but not what we can do to make things better. And that's what I kind of see now. Spending a lot of time on like little bitty things, and kind of ignoring the big problems and not really working on the main issues, which I think are people's insecurity and their feelings of lack of worth, are causing them to do this. I mean, I'm not trying to make an excuse for them, but if you don't understand the causes and nature of a problem, I don't think you're going to solve it. I also do think if little kids played together more, that even just that would solve a lot of problems. It's really hard to dislike a race if you have a whole bunch of friends of that race, you know? It really just solves a lot of it. Little kids don't know better. They just go ahead and have a good old time. Well, anyways, watch The Division. I actually had some kind of weird dream about some person was telling me there was going to be more division. Like that's where we were going to go. I don't know if it was just my old subconscious making up stuff or what, but I do think we're not at the peak of the bowl yet. We still have some way to go, unfortunately. I really would love to get to the point where I'm saying it's getting better yet, but we're not there yet. So I guess we just got to keep trudging forward. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming. I got a lot of good stuff from the commenters on the channel this time. We really haven't progressed in iota. Our egos deceive us to feel like we are on the fifth dimension. I am not sure if I would say we didn't progress. I think we have. I think the energies are a lot higher and it's just bringing out all the dirt. So I don't want to say we haven't progressed, but... Anyways, so, okay, I'm pretty much done. And thanks everybody for coming and for all of your good Mandelas this time. Really helped out. Think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.